Every single evening, the progressive governors and mayors of deep blue states stand in front of the cameras and read from the exact same script. They tell you that their radical criminal justice experiments are working. They tell you that their restorative justice initiatives, their cashless bail systems, and their defunded police budgets are paving the way for a safer, more equitable future. They are outright lying to you, and they're just using rigged corporate media reporting to cover up the destruction of America's major cities. They want you to believe that crime is an uncontrollable, abstract phenomenon, like the weather, that hits every city equally, regardless of how it's governed. They try to claim that a conservative red state hub deals with the exact same lawlessness as a blue sanctuary citadel. But when you turn off the talking heads and actually look at the raw, unfiltered post-game data, the illusion shattered instantly. Today, I'm putting the crime statistics of a red state anchor, Nashville, Tennessee, right next to the progressive poster child of Chicago, Illinois. The math doesn't lie. The contrast is devastating, and it proves that when a government surrenders the rule of law to appease the progressive elite, the citizens pay for it in blood. Let's look at Chicago first, because that is the laboratory where the radical left had total uninterrupted control for decades. The media spent the last few months running victory laps because Chicago's homicide numbers technically dipped below their pandemic peaks. They want you to celebrate the fact that the body count went down slightly, hoping you won't look at the actual scale of the slaughter. Even with a statistical dip, Chicago closed out its recent annual tracking with over 400 homicides. Think about that number. 400 American citizens wiped out in a single city in 12 months. And as we move through the first half of 2026, the early numbers show shootings and shooting victims trending right back upward. This is the direct mathematical consequence of the protest industrial complex taking over the judicial system. Cook County has turned the justice system into a revolving door. They eliminated cash bail. They systematically refused to prosecute retail theft, and they have an administration that views the criminal as the victim and the police officer as the oppressor. The corporate press wants to isolate these numbers. They tell you it's just isolated neighborhood violence. But I'm telling you, it's a structural collapse. When a city records thousands of shooting victims a year, it is no longer a functioning municipality. It's an active war zone managed by bureaucrats. The progressive elite have created an environment where the transnational gangs and street predators operate with total impunity because they know the state does not have the political will to lock them up and throw away the key. Now, let me pivot over to Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville is a booming, rapidly growing metropolitan area sitting right in the heart of a deep red state that respects law enforcement and understands the foundational necessity of order. When you compare the numbers, the narrative that all cities are the same completely falls apart. Nashville closed out its recent annual data with 74 homicides, nearly a 27% drop, hitting its lowest level in a decade. Violent crime overall dropped by double digits, and robberies and burglaries plummeted to historic lows not seen in over 50 years. Why is Nashville experiencing historical lows while Chicago is managing historic carnage? It's not an accident. It's a baseline difference in governance. In Tennessee, if you commit a violent crime, you go to prison. The state legislature has actively pushed back against rogue prosecutors, passed truth in sentencing laws, and ensured that law enforcement has the resources and the backing to do their jobs. Nashville is a city where a father can take his kids down to the lower Broadway district or a local park without having to scan the horizon for an active shootout. The left hates this comparison. They try to hide the per capita data and muddy the waters with pedantic arguments because Nashville proves that crime can be suppressed when you have the courage to enforce the law. I'm watching the blue state refugees pour into Tennessee by the thousands every single month. And they aren't moving for the weather. They are fleeing the chaos. They're leaving the states where the government has abandoned its primary duty to protect its citizens. They want what Nashville has, an environment where the nuclear family can thrive, where small businesses can operate without being looted daily, and where common sense and common sense safety is treated as a right, not a luxury. The contrast between Nashville and Chicago is the ultimate proof that safe cities cannot survive under blue state ideology. You cannot defund the police, coddle the criminal, eliminate the border, and expect your neighborhoods to remain secure. Don't let the media's doctored statistics fool you into believing that the decline of our cities is inevitable. It's a choice. It's a choice made by progressive politicians who care more about their ideological purity than the lives of the people they govern. My job and your job is to keep demanding accountability, to back the men and women in blue who actually hold the line, and to ensure that our local communities never surrender to the manufactured chaos. Stand firm, protect your household, and never apologize for demanding law and order. Stand with me, support the mission, refuse the silence. Check us out at titdusa.com. I'll see you next time.